Welcome to Maeder and Friends, where we talk hot topics, base takes, and your mom. Can I get a hoya?
Dude, did you see the latest about the Xbox price increase? It's gone up by 50% for the subscription, and you don't even get like anything new. It's just the same stuff. It's insane, and the fans are crying.
Wow. What do we have here, Xbox? Seems like Uncle Nintendo's been rubbing off on you. Nintendo just keeps on giving to the masses. I have no words, man. The fact that, and full disclosure, I don't use Xbox Game Pass. I don't use any Xbox services. I do not purchase any Xbox products before in my life. I've kind of mostly been a PlayStation household just because I like a lot of the exclusives. But that even now is like it ended about PlayStation 3 era. I haven't purchased a PlayStation since. I've transitioned to just using PC. But aside from that, such a steep increase, a sudden steep increase in a monthly subscription. I'm gonna be honest, man. In the modern world where you have so many things that you have to subscribe to, I'm sorry, I don't think that this is just a reasonable price at all. I feel like Microsoft would have been better off just keeping the prices as is. If there was an issue with inflation or rates or anything like that, they could have just made a separate tier that offered essentially what they want this ultimate tier to have. Because even as just looking at it, most likely people would buy it, right? If you made like a mega tier after ultimate, and then if you wanted to do like maybe a 10 to 20% increase on ultimate and the other tiers, I would think that's a lot more reasonable. And then you can have like your $30 mega plan that gives you access to so many amazing little goodies, like the extra games, the games on day one, while that they're trying to sell that to a monthly subscription for people who wanted to have access to more games in the first place. And then including things like EA Play and Ubisoft classics. Like, wow, are you kidding me? who genuinely who has been stoked about the Ubisoft Classics feature? Genuine question, because that's so ridiculous, man. The features that they're offering for this ultimate tier are so ridiculous. But I mean, they could have just made a separate plan and people would have bought it anyways, because they want the highest tier of service available. But honest to God, this is not worth it at all. And to be honest, 90% of games that come out nowadays aren't worth it. You'll sometimes find really good deals like Clear Obscure, Silk Song. Well, those games are really good. Stardew Valley is literally my favorite game of all time, right? And let me just check the price in dollars real quick, because we're not from the US, obviously. So, but Stardew Valley, best game of all time, $14.99. $14.99. I've been playing this game since like 2014. Genuinely, it's such an amazing game. There's so much replayability. For $14.99, we can get quality games for reasonable prices, right? There's no reason for this type of shit. I genuinely feel like, and this is just a theory, game theory, but I genuinely think that this is just in response to what Nintendo has been doing. Like, yeah, oh my God, here he goes again. He blames Nintendo for everything. Yeah, because Nintendo are industry leaders, right? They piloted the price increase for games. Every time Nintendo goes up in prices for their games, other companies follow suit. I genuinely feel like they saw what Nintendo was doing with the increase of their older consoles in price, the increase of their games, and they thought, let's try and find ways where we can get more money, where we're potentially losing out on money. Because the Game Pass thing, though I've never used it, I've been told nothing but praise about the service because of how accessible it makes games for gamers, right? And it brings games that kind of fell into obscurity, it brings them back to life and makes it available for new eyes, new generations. People had so much praise for this service, and for them to just do such a sudden increase in price, the reaction itself evident, right? Even if they had announced it half a year ahead of time, I feel like the response would have been a lot less severe than what they did now, because they essentially just announced it in a video. Hey, prices are going up. Boom. There was no warning of this. There was no discussion about this. There was no. I don't even know if they checked with maybe some communities of players beforehand if this is going to be a smart, ethical move for them to make. Do I think that there's still going to be people that purchase the Game Pass? Yeah, I do think so. Even though don't, I don't really think it's going to be worth it. But especially in the long run, because this is not like a once-off. This is a constant subscription, and in the world already, we have enough stuff that we have to pay every single month, right? We got bills. For those of people that use like Netflix and stuff, I don't use any of that. I just watch pretty much YouTube, Twitch. That's kind of it. Even with anime, right? If I want to watch anime, I have to subscribe to like 7 different service providers because Crunchyroll doesn't have everything, Hulu doesn't have everything. So I'm just like, man, I'll just get Crunchyroll, and if there's anything I can't watch, it's just how it is. But that's such bullshit. Subscription services are such bullshit, man. That's my point. It's such bullshit. And especially because the services is long term, you have to think about it in the sense of long term. How much value are you actually going to get out of this money? Because at the end of the day, when you're done playing everything, or when you've played majority of what you're looking to pay for or play, you get to a point where you're like, you spent so much money on this and you didn't even realize it. You end up playing more because I guarantee you not everybody is going to be playing all 400 plus of these games that the ultimate tier is offering. You're not going to play all those games. We don't have the time, and games are so diverse. You're not going to find interest in most games that's being offered on this plan. So in reality, what I see this as, the average person is going to pay $30 a month to have access to all these games. They're probably going to maybe play one of them, maybe 2 or 3, if they don't focus on finishing those games. And then when you rack it up at the end of the year, when you pay a whole year's subscription for this shit, and you look back at what you actually played, you're going to kind of feel like you got scammed.
If you work a standard day job and you go to gym after work, I don't see the subscription being a good investment, because how are you supposed to play so many games in 1 month to justify it for the whole year now? That's one thing I don't see possible. If you prefer to do nothing else but gaming after your day job, then I would see that it would kind of be worth it. The diehard gamers, or if you like if you're a streamer or you're a content creator, you'll probably get the game for free, or you've got the money to pay for it. It just makes sense. But they would benefit from this type of subscription. I don't see how it would be possible. And then also, there are only a certain amount of games that come out a year which are worth playing and which someone would be interested in. So paying the $30 per month, and you only going to be playing maybe 3 or 4 top tier games a year, the subscription is still not worth it. And it's just, I don't even have the words. I'm completely gobsmacked with it. And no one is interested in the old Ubisoft games. When they go on sale almost every single month, and they are dirt cheap. So why don't you just buy it there, the subscription fee for it? And remember, the subscription, well, if you buy a digital game, what we've seen, you don't actually own it. But if you have a subscription, you seriously don't own it. And if you buy it outright on sale for like $5 for an old Assassin's Creed game, you will have it in your catalog until the comes off the store, which it takes a long time for that to happen. So I don't see how it is something positive that they've done this. And I remember there was quite a backlash recently about Outer Worlds 2 being, I think it was $80 game. They wanted to push it up. It was 80 or 90, which is insane. So then now they've brought the price back down to what new games go for nowadays, but then they put the subscription fee up so much. So do they want people to not do subscription anymore and rather buy games again? Maybe it's a reverse transaction, if you can say it like that. And I still remember when Xbox did this. I thought it was a damn good idea, but then Xbox wasn't, as a company, wasn't making money because people would not buy the games outright. They'd rather use the subscription fee for a month, finish the game, and then they would stop the subscription fee. So instead of, let's just use a round figure of the $20, rather pay a $20 subscription fee for a game you could finish in a month than pay $60 to finish the game in a month. Yes, you keep it, but realistically, when are you going to be playing that game again? So it made sense to do that, but now I just don't see it's good.
I think that says a lot to just highlight the fact that the Game Pass itself is actually just not an interesting service as a whole, right? Because, I mean, if people are just getting the Game Pass just to try out a new game and then they, unsubscribe from that, that itself just tells me that the Game Pass itself doesn't actually offer anything of value that would entice you or incentivize you to maintain that subscription. So, like, I really don't see why they would think that increasing the price would be a good idea, other than the fact that they might be trying to pressure people to buy more games. But then at the same time, you are also alienating an entire community of players, your player base, that have come to appreciate a feature like this, because there are people that maintain that subscription. I mean, they wouldn't still have the service if it wasn't at least to some extent successful in bringing in constant traffic to their website. So I think that the best solution towards this would have been to just create a new tier and try to create more incentive programs for people to maintain that subscription, right? Maybe if you stay subscribed, you get an annual deal. You stay subscribed for the year, you get free access to a specific game that's also like one of the newer games that's being released. And so from a gamer's perspective, you're like, oh, okay. So if I just maintain the subscription for a year, I'm playing games and I get to play new games as they come out. I also get the ability to access and own a copy of a specific game that is out once I complete that. That's something I can redeem. I'm just brainstorming some ideas here, but I'm just trying to say, like, if the service is not successful in retaining customers, then you need to reevaluate what is being provided in the service, right? That makes sense. So I will never use something like Game Pass just because I don't like the idea of not being able to just pick up and play a game whenever I want to. Like, Stardew Valley, I'll play Stardew Valley every single day, and then if I don't feel like playing it for a month or 2 months, I like the fact that I can still come back after 2 months and just pick it up and play it again. Because with Game Pass, you will start games, and like you mentioned, I don't think the average player really has time to just play games all the time. Most of us are playing games in very specific intervals, and then with the boom of mobile games, a lot of us play games on the go, right? So it's like, to the average consumer or to the average player, they're not gonna be making the most out of this whole 400 games catalog that they're advertising. So I'm left to wonder, honestly, who is this giant catalog of games really for? And if you're willing to offer them just for free on this Game Pass thing to be used, right? What is the point of using this as like something to incentivize people to get the monthly pass? If I purchase a service and there's like 10 games on there, right? I subscribe to a service, and out of those 10 games, only one of them is interesting to me, that's just a waste of money. I feel like instead of just saying, oh, we've got over 400 games available as a catalog for you, just give people the ability to choose what games they'd like to have with their subscription, right? So maybe like every month you can maybe choose what games you want to have. And so that way you don't have to sit there with your very limited game time that you have available, scrolling through all these games that Xbox provides as part of the subscription plan, and almost none of them apply to you because you don't want to play any of them, right? So how about instead of quantity of games, we do the quality of the games. We offer more enticing games up for them to use. How about that? Just I don't know. I'm just trying to brainstorm what they could have done instead, because what they decided to do fixed none of the issues. It's not going to help with retention. I don't think it's going to pressurize people to really pay for games. So what is the solution for what other than just trying to sponge more money?
Just for argument's sake, this is how I would, subscribe to this or to a service such as this. Let's say, for argument's sake, there are 5 games going to be released this year. And we don't have to go into details exactly what these 5 games are, what the price is. But let's say it's $50 just to make it easier each. So 5 games, $50. So that'll be for the year, right? And so you'll be spending $250 for the year. Now, if the subscription fee would cover those 5 games, this would be over the year now if you had to work it out like that. If the subscription fee would cover those 5 games over the year, but in total, if you stay subscribed for the year, it will be $200. So technically you save $50. A subscription fee like that is worth it. So this is not where it's coming across, but that's how I find something like this would be saved.
Yeah, I agree. I actually think that's a lot better of an idea than what they're doing right now, because I mean, if people have the chance to save $50 for the year on games just by having this pass, they still make a shit ton of money. And we as consumers, we end up saving a little bit of money, which a lot of people are willing to sacrifice time for the sake of saving money, right? So a lot more people will be interested in that. And on top of that, you also have complete control over what games it's being advertised to you. And it would feel like a much more rewarding system if there was more relevant games available for you to play instead of like a lot of random no-name games that you'll probably never play in your life. Paying $30 for a catalog of over 400 games, of which only 5% of those games you might actually be interested in playing. It seems like a massive waste. So like instead of that, just offer the consumer the ability to choose what games they want to play. Like you said, 5 games in the year. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the ultimate plan gives you access to a catalog of 400 existing games on their server, and then it also gives you the chance to select up to 5 games, and this goes up with every tier, but up to 5 games of current releases that you'll be able to have access to during this time. And if you tally up the 5 games that you're saving on in terms of spending, like you say, like you said, you end up with paying $200 for the subscription instead of 250 to buy all 5 of those games individually. I feel like that's a massive bargain. And to be honest, you're probably paying closer to what those games are worth in terms of value than what they're actually charging for on Xbox Store itself.
Exactly. And then this goes out to Xbox. You can approach both of us for job opportunity for marketing. Thank you.